Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. It's been a little while since we did our last one. Apologize for that, but we decided to do a Q&A, and without further ado, here we go. Christopher, are you thinking about trying boxing or MMA like Mir? I took this question first because obviously Frank just fought and did a phenomenal job. I mean, it was pretty amazing. MMA or boxing? No. I will probably end up doing jiu-jitsu. I feel it's always good to be learning something new. It's always good to stay active. Jiu-jitsu helps a lot with my mobility, and it's a great cardiovascular thing. So when I do pull out of strongman and powerlifting, I will be doing jiu-jitsu. James asks, what was the most risky feat of strength you've attempted in your career? The most risky feat of strength we did was the carousel lift, actually on the TV show. And what made it risky was the pedestals or the legs on the carousel, because they were only about this big around, and we were on grass, and they set up little pieces of wood that were like 1 foot by 1 foot that the 4 legs would sit on to support that whole entire thing. And one side's built up a little higher than the other so they could get it balanced out. The thing is if it missed in the backside, not only would it drop about a foot, it would also hit the grass and sink in. So if we missed sitting it down, we would have sunk down about another 1.5 feet, which we didn't have that much space for the chain up top if we missed, so it would have been bad. So that was probably the riskiest feat of strength I've ever done. Kyle's the next question. Do you ever feel you get exhausted easier or just more worn out after you're getting older while lifting? Yes and no. More on the no side, because I space my training days to where I'm adequately rested before I lift again and stuff like that. But yes, in kind of the respect that you still have to get up, you still have to be motivated, stuff like that. So it can be a little bit harder to be driven every single day. But nah, I mean, I'm just always filled with boundless energy and really don't wear out. Ajrin, sorry if I butchered your name, Shaw, what is the key to longevity in such a high level? The key is learning how to read your body, knowing when you're overtrained, knowing when to take time off, knowing when you feel like you've pushed so hard, you've tightened the piano strings super tight and it's about to snap, and knowing when to back off is probably the biggest thing. And knowing how not only to get injured as little as possible, but to do the best recovery from the injury when you have, will really help with your longevity. Also, not making super fast gains. It's slow, methodical gains over time that will get you there, and then maintaining that is much easier to do. If you get there fast, a lot of guys don't stay real long. They come up, they make a big splash, and then they're gone. So that would probably be the key, is just being slow and methodical and very disciplined about what you're doing. Zach M2234 asks, what's the favorite World's Strongest Man that you've competed in? There are 2 that are my favorite. One was my first one in 2010, but by far my favorite one was 2017, when I made the finals that year, and got to do the elephant carry and stuff like that, and I had Cerberus in my heat, and I actually won that heat. That was probably my favorite year. Signoretti 2020. What are the long-term effects of being a strongman, eating the way you do, and lifting insanely heavy weights? Honestly, I feel your biggest long-term effects are going to be from your joints. Not really the muscles, not the tendons. It's just going to be from the joints. If you've done a good job taking care of your joints, you're going to have very few problems. If you've also put on good weight, and not just weight for the sake of weight, but on good weight, and you take 3 to 5 years to bring your weight down, I also don't think you'll have a whole lot of long-term effects from it as well. Sarcasm Vet asks, Nick Best, why do you deadlift with such a narrow stance? Honestly, that's where I feel the most comfortable to get the most power off the ground for me. It's just the best deadlift stance for you is the best one that you can lift the most weight and not get hurt from. So that's the one that I lift the most weight and don't get hurt from, and it feels the most comfortable for me. Just that simple. David Howe Outdoors asks, what's a good way for someone to get back into lifting after an injury? I put my back out a few years ago. Sometimes I'm worried I try to lift too much in case I put it out again. When you come back from an injury, especially a bad one, and you're not like an extreme athlete, you want to take your time. The first thing you want to get back is your mobility. You absolutely do not want to stop lifting altogether. You just might have to stop for a little while. You work on your flexibility, you work on your mobility, then you start back with weights, and you start back easy with weights. 2 or 3 sets per exercise, maybe 3 exercises per body part, and high reps, like 10 to 15, maybe even 20 reps, to just work and get stronger and get the range of motion going and getting your mobility back through that. Then as you progress a couple months into that, you can start cutting your reps down to 6s and 8s, and a couple months after that you can start cutting reps down on your big lifts to 3s and 5s, and eventually 6 months after that start going back towards heavy doubles and singles and triples and stuff like that. So that's how you slowly get back into it, but it's slow and methodical. Next question is from His Panic at the Disco. What are the benefits you're experiencing from your treatment at Bioaccelerator? My pain has literally been cut in half, or maybe even a little bit more, which is, it's massive. I still have some pain. It doesn't completely go away, but it really probably added 10 to 15 years to my lifting career. I feel better when I wake up in the morning, and it's the biggest difference in the world. Ethan Lott is the next question. Have you considered becoming a pro wrestler or doing something else besides strongman? I considered becoming a pro wrestler quite some time ago and found out they traveled about 260 days a year, and a lot of them have issues with their family at home and are never around for their kids and stuff like that, and decided that just wasn't for me. I had Dylan when he was young, and it was more important to me to be home and around my son than to be doing things like that. So, no, haven't considered pro wrestling. Crayons, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the rest of it. In such an individual sport such as strongman, you found great friends in your opponents. Is it hard to balance it? I found great friends all throughout this sport, and in powerlifting, and in strength sports, and in Buddhism, and just all over the place. You never know you're going to meet great friends. But no, it's not really hard to balance it, because I'm trying to compete against me and do the best I can in each one, not against somebody else. I don't worry about what someone else's time is. I just go do the best I can do for that time. And if I give it everything I have and I do my best, that's all I'm worried about. So it's not really hard to balance, and you meet some of the greatest people you could ever imagine, just anywhere. So I have met a lot of great people in the sport, though. I can't really pronounce it. DJDYE Gone. What is the hardest part about becoming a strongman? It's really not that hard to become a strongman. Anybody can become a strongman. There's amateur contests and novice contests all over the place. You can just go enter one and do one. Not even really training the events, just lifting in the gym. And then just go do it, and you'll learn, and then you'll start picking up and buying events and buying things to train with that will mimic those events, and eventually, if you're persistent enough, you'll make it to the top level. Jack Feebosh, do you have any days where you eat more the day before to prep for, or just like before I'm training or before I'm competing? Yes, absolutely. I will eat a lot more things with glucose in it, things with carbohydrates in it, stuff like that, the day before I compete and the day of in the morning, so that my muscles are full of glycose and glycogen when I go to compete. So yeah, I do eat quite a bit differently going into competition days. Gani PND is the next question. Sorry if I'm butchering your names, I really apologize. Out of Brian, Robert, and Eddie, who do you think you could take in a boxing match? Honestly, I probably wouldn't want to box any of them. They're all taller than I am, and they all have a much longer reach. And they're all deceptively fast for men as big as they are. Jiu-jitsu wise, I'd much rather do, and I'd like to take Robert in jiu-jitsu. Osmos, is it possible to gain maximum amount of strength without bulking or gaining weight? Yes, you can look at all the lighter weight classes in powerlifting, and even the lighter weight classes in strongman in general. Those guys come out with they lift insanely amounts of weight, and their body weight's still not that high. I mean, the 105 kilo world's strongest man, Anthony Furman, he's ungodly strong, and he's only 231 pounds. So yeah, it's definitely possible to not be super big and still be super strong. And that's it. That's the end of the Q&A. If you like this, hit the subscribe and hit a like and leave a comment down at the bottom. If there's something I missed that you want me to talk about, definitely put it in the comment section down below. And thanks for watching, and as always, train hard, train smart, and be the best you can be.